Hello everyone, this is Mr. J and I'm here to describe to you the Richet scale. Most importantly, the appearance. We are talking about the Richet scale. The easiest part of it all is probably appearance. And when I say appearance, as I always give the example, mute the movie and how does it look? Giving a 1 means this movie just looks like it was done in someone's basement. Kind of like this one. Now, before I give an example, keep in mind like the black and whites from back in the day that just look like terrible. That's gonna get a bad review for appearance. So let's not pick on them too hard. But here's my example for giving a 1 for appearance. Because the hair and the characters are like blocks and you could punch them with your fist. They don't flow. So take a look at this one. Giving a 2 for appearance, that means you tried but you missed your mark. It looks cheap, you have a cheap feel for it, and if you put in a little more effort, you could have done something. Kind of like this movie right here. 3 is average. This is what you want your movie to look like. There's nothing to go home about. Be like, oh man, did you see the part where it's all, kind of like this movie. Giving a score of a 4, that means you guys put in the effort. This is great. It looks wonderful. I really don't have any complaints, but it's not quite Academy Award material. Kind of like this movie right here. And last but not least, a 5. Academy Award material, no complaints, no nothing. This is how it is. You love it. You love seeing it. You want to see more of it. Kind of like this movie right here. So that's about it. When you give the appearance, I always say mute the movie. How does it look? Does it look like it's supposed to take place in the 80s, but it's really the 40s? Does it look like these people are supposed to be in high school and they're actually adults? How does it look? The feel, all that counts when you use appearance in the Richet scale. So, without further ado, here's your regularly scheduled program. Bye-bye. Hello viewers and welcome back to Mr. J's Big Book of Movies, where my quest is to find the best in the land, the best movies, both past, present, live action, and animation, to add into my Big Book of Movies, which is a collection of my favorite movies and movies I feel should be recognized for what they are. But today's episode is a special episode, a very special episode. The one thing that I love most is my fans, and I love when my fans participate. And today, I was challenged. I was challenged by one of my viewers to see if this specific movie should be let in. Adam Vaughn, this show is for you. Before we begin, don't forget you can contact me anytime, anywhere on our Facebook fan page at I4Mr. Go ahead and search for that. Our Twitter page at I4Ni, spelled just like my podcast. And also you can email me, mws_216@yahoo.com. You can contact me anytime, anywhere. Give me those requests. Give me those ideas. I'll contact with you, see if you want me to say your name on the show, and we could get things started. And as I always say, without further ado, let's get things started. So Moulin Rouge, the 2001 version, was released June 1st, 2001. And IMDb states that a poet falls for a beautiful croissant whom a jealous duke covets. That is the story. And I have to be honest with you, when I first started watching this movie, I had the WTF factor. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? But by the end of the movie, this turns out to be one of the greatest love stories I've ever seen. But let's see how it stacks up to the challenge to get into the big book of movies. Starting at the top, we have the rewatch factor. Now, in the 2000s, they decided to make standard 90-minute movies into 2-hour movies. And this is one of them, a long-ass 2-hour musical. Some musicals don't work and others don't work. And this is one of them that kind of worked. One thing that they tried to do was, despite the fact this is supposed to take place in France back in the days, it uses like 80s to 2000s music. So the songs that they sing, everybody probably know because they didn't sing like deep cuts. They sung very popular songs. So I believe that helped relieve a lot of the tension of it being a musical. I feel it was done well, but I only give the rewatch factor a 2. This is a deep cut. This is a deep movie, and I don't feel it's the type of movie that you would watch over and over and over and over and over again. Maybe if you saw it on TV, but I don't know how much of the story would be edited out, so I'm going to leave it at a solid 2. Ironically enough, the storyline, it wasn't nominated for an Oscar for screenplay or adapted screenplay, and I actually gave it a 5, and I always say 5 is Academy Award material. Like I said, it was very moving how it all ended. The ending is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the whole movie. I feel that it should at least been nominated, but hey, I'm just one critic. But I truly feel that the 5 that it received is worth its due. So next in line we have characters. Characters was very difficult to grade. I know that the actors did a lot of their own singing, and I know there's a very controversial high note that Nicole Kidman had sung that didn't sound like her, but I'm just like, wow, I wasn't even able to really pick it out because I was just so over singing in my ear. So whatever. But I only gave characters a 3. I don't feel the acting was very good at all. I feel it was par acting. I don't feel any Oscars should have been passed out for the acting. I just don't feel the acting was memorable. I don't feel any lines of the movie were memorable. I feel the movie itself was memorable as a whole, but and the character development, I feel everyone stayed the same from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie. There's no difference in the people. So as far as characters, it receives a solid 3. Next on the chopping block, you have appearance. Now, despite the fact that it did win Oscars for art direction, and set decoration and costume design, I feel that it got a 4. There's a lot of whimsical special effects that it used that made it look a little cheap. And if you're gonna get a 5, you should look crisp. You should look perfect. And I don't feel it was perfectly crisp. So I gave it a 4. And I'm not crapping on the movie saying it got a 4 for appearance. I'm just saying it wasn't perfectly flawless. That's the only reason it got a 4. It looked great. It felt great. But there were times the cheapness saw through. And I feel those little aspects hurt the movie. Last but not least is enjoyment. Now, when I was finished watching the movie, I was like, wow, that was a great love story. I was like, whoa, that was a kick-ass movie. So, for enjoyment, I gave it a 3. I'm glad I watched it. It was a very remarkable movie. But it's not something that I'm going to brag that I just watched to my friends, It may be like a dinner time conversation. Hey, have you ever seen Moulin Rouge? I just saw it for the first time, kind of like that. It's not really the type of movie that you're gonna go home and brag to everybody about on the internet, you know. But I am glad that I saw this movie. Alright, so this is the point where we make decisions. The first thing we do is we add up the categories, and those categories equal a score, and that score equals a grade. And the breakdown is this. For the rewatch factor, it received a score of a 2. For the storyline, it received a score of a 5. For the characters, it received a score of a 3. For the appearance, it received a score of a 4. And finally, for the enjoyment, it received a score of a 3. That altogether equals a 17. And that 17 equals a B. So the big question is, does Moulin Rouge 2001 get into the big book of movies? You know what? It actually does. This was a remarkable love story. It takes time, though, because the first 20 minutes of this movie is fucking weird. And if you are able to get through that, you'll be able to get to the real movie. And you will like the real movie. And you will enjoy the real movie. And you will love the real movie. It honestly took me 2 days to watch this movie, because the weirdness of the beginning just totally threw me off. And I was just like, no. And then the next day, as soon as I got up, I put it on, I made some coffee, and I was able to see the real film. That's what you have to do with this movie. It's one of those things. But does it get access to the big book of movies? You're damn right. Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening, however you did it. Don't forget, every Saturday, right here on YouTube, new episodes come out. And if you have requests, hey, I'm going to bump those in place of the shows that I already have scheduled. Adam Bond, this show was for you. Thank you very much for your support. Hope I can get some more requests from you. And for everybody else, send them. Keep sending them. I will put them on here as you see. And as far as I'm concerned, this chapter is now closed.